Come on in and sit down. You cut the hardcore crew chewing the fat. You cut us shooting the shit. You cut us in the moment.
Always love to pick on TNA, and we want to know, is TNA becoming another WCW? And what that means is not really as far as the wrestling aspect, because we always appreciate the wrestling aspect of TNA, because TNA, no doubt, if you look at the wrestling aspect, they're great wrestlers. The entertainment value is come and gone, but the business aspect of TNA really has fallen by the wayside, and I think a lot of us here have a lot to say about that. Joe, I know you have a lot to say about it, so you know what? I'm going to give you the first pitch.
Uh-oh. Well, you and me did we did a big discussion about this earlier, and we even Googled Dixie Carter's Wikipedia. Well, to give you fans a chance to understand, we did a little research, because TNA is failing. I don't care what the fanboys say. I don't care what anybody says. It is failing. When you move from a popular station like Spike over to Destination America, where it's not really seen by a lot of people, and her numbers are dwindling, attendance records are down, her viewership is down, there's just been a ton of mistakes. So Rick and I decided to bump heads and investigate this woman without actually going to her house. We're leaving that to Andy. What we're going to do is we decided to look it up. Well, we found out that Dixie Carter actually went to college and got a degree in business and advertising. She also went to work while doing college. She went to work for an advertisement and I think it was advertising and promotions firm out in Texas, where she started as an intern, and she rose all the way up in the ranks to vice president of an advertising and marketing firm. That's what it was. Now remember that, advertising and marketing firm, vice president. Now either she kissed her ass or kissed people's asses to get to that position, or she has some smarts. Somehow, with her education of that, she was also a member of the Gamma Gamma fraternity, sorority of a woman's branch.
Yeah, it was the Kappa Kappa Gamma.
Kappa Gamma, thank you. It's a sorority for you folks that don't know, who've never been to college, or you did like me, went to college just for the parties. It's basically a good sorority. So she has the experience background. She also opened up her own music company, so we all know that she's done country music. But the question is, how can she fail if she has all this background and experience? Rick and I have gone through a lot of research to find out, and I'm still perplexed of everything that's been going on. And Panda Energy is slowly losing money on this. Rick, right back to you.
The problem with TNA is that it started off strong. This was a company that really could have rivaled, WWE, like WCW. You look at some of the mistakes that it made that some of the WCW made from the beginning was making. It took a lot of WWE's staff and a roster. People like RVD. People like Hulk Hogan, Mick Foley, Ric Flair, the list goes on and on. Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, the Dudleys. Now, some of these guys did good for the company, while other wrestlers just was there for a paycheck. We could sit there and pick the ones out and say these guys were good, these guys did bad. Kurt Angle, he's still there, but let's face it. He tried to go back to the WWE, and the WWE didn't want him. And that's the only reason why he's still there. Sting, who was phenomenal for TNA. But the fact is that the management just didn't want to keep him because the money-wise. And what happens? They threw people away, and they had their own roster. They used these people to build their rosters, people like AJ Styles, Kaz and Kazarian, and Christian. And what happened? These guys walk out the door. So now they're killing rosters, and now they have to rebuild the roster. James, over to you. Your thoughts.
Thoughts on TNA? Really, it's like, as you said, the wrestling aspect is excellent as hell. The Knockouts division is better than the Divas division, let's be honest, because they have better talented female wrestlers there, and with new ones coming up. But they're making mistakes left and right that's killing the business overall. Not advertising their shows, not promoting a lot of their stuff, you know? And plus now they're in the new station, which is Destination America. That's really, really gonna not help them, because how many people have Destination America? I got lucky, I got it. But everybody else, no. You have to pay extra. That's all I'm gonna say about TNA.
And again, that's a viable point. They were with Spike, and they built their repertoire with them for over 10 years, and they could have done so much more with that station, but they chose to throw that away. Will, what were your thoughts about what they had with Spike and moving on to Destination America?
They fucked up like a double-edged sword, and let me explain why. On the good side of the sword, Spike TV had a lot of viewers that would sit there and watch a good second-rate product. Now, mind you, Spike had UFC fights, they had the Man Show, they had a whole lot of listing of shows that could be watchable for the human eye. And now that, as Joe would say, it was a falling out, and now we're at this thing called Destination, whatever the fuck it is, or Destination America, whatever. And look what happened within the first month. Only 1.062 rating on their debut on Destination America. That's a statistic that not many companies want to hear. Now, I'm going to contract what James said for just a second. The Divas division got good. Awesome Kong coming back was great. But like you mentioned, Rick, you know, look at the wrestlers who built TNA. And now, where are they? New Japan, back to WWE. Basically, just to end it, if you hear the words 1069 or TNA's losing all this in a financial standpoint, you're basically fucked. And right now, unless some miracle happens, this is going nowhere fast. I'm sorry. It's just not, yeah.
Okay. Lance, you've followed this whole story. We've been talking about TNA over and over again. Do you see TNA pulling out of this at all, or what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I don't, because as I think Ricky you said, like at the very beginning of the show, could TNA be the next WCW, as in the next sort of kind of big company to die? Yes, because they're committing all the same damn mistakes WCW committed before it died. One, brought in Hogan and Bischoff and let them control shit. Never do that. Two, give Hogan and Bischoff a gigantic group, and they did that. Anybody remember Immortal? Three, way too many damn pay-per-views that you can't afford. One night onlys, hello. And three, not building up your roster and building superstars and no advertising.
Now, Andy, recently we've been writing in the news about how TNA's having issues paying off the checks. I mean, isn't that like probably one of the biggest nails in the coffin for this company?
It's going the same way as ECW went, but the only thing I can say about TNA at the moment, I know everybody keeps pulling it apart, and every year, it's going to be the last year that TNA will be in business and blah, blah, blah. I look at TNA now like that big smelly turd that no matter how many times you pull that chain and you look in that bowl, it always bobs up and down. Just won't go away. And that's how I see TNA at the moment. It's just whatever shit hits the fan, it always seems to come bobbing up and down with a bit more. But how long have they been running now? Is it 9 years? Is it coming up for the 10th anniversary?
It's past the 10th.
They don't seem to have got any better now than they did on day one. And I've always said, it's no good trying to compete with the WWE. You've got to do stuff different. But Dixie tends to just pinch their ideas and use them. She needs to find ideas of her own and do something different, because you're never going to take a company like the WWE on. They're too big, they've got too much money, and they've got too much experience.
You know, Andy, you know what? I have to agree with you to a point. It's not a bad idea to pinch their ideas, but not their storylines. If she should be pinching their ideas, it should be their business ideas, and that's the one thing she's not doing. She's not, you know, when you look at their things, she's not pinching any of their business ideas. What do you see when you walk it down Raw and you watch on their, when they're ripping stuff off their announce table? What's the first thing they rip off the announce table?
The monitors.
No, before that.
The board that says WWE.
Even before that, what's sitting on that table? What's sitting on that table almost all the time?
Laptop.
Okay.
The announcer.
Now, guys, if I can chime in, Rick, what you see that they have plastered on their tables, on the little commentary booth that's up there, the product of a sponsor.
Mountain Dew.
Now,
don't you see the Mountain Dew at the on the kickoff pre-shows? You see them all the 3 Mountain Dews, unopened cans all the time.
Yeah, that none of them have a drink, if you notice.
Exactly. Product placement. And that is something that Dixie, Carter, and even Panda Energy does not do. Why?
They don't even promote, like, when a wrestler has a new T-shirt, they don't even get the wrestler to come out in the T-shirt half the time.
It's foolish. They should be at marketing. They have no marketing skills, and that's a problem that TNA has not done.
Well, one thing that it won't affect you guys in the States, but it'll certainly affect us in the UK, and it'll affect Dixie, because I've always screamed, the only problem I've ever had with TNA before it started going down the toilet was we had to watch it on Challenge TV. And we got it about 4 or 5 days after it aired, so we knew all the spoilers, we knew everything that was going on. On the 15th of this month, we had a new television channel. I think I told some of you guys before. We had a new television start-up, Spike America, and it's free in the UK. We don't have to pay for it. If Dixie had been on Spike America like she was before, we'd have been able to get it the same day as you guys. But whatever's happened, she's walked away from the Spike offer. That's if they offered her anything. And now she's gone onto a channel, which again is going to be like Challenge TV, that we're going to get it 4 or 5 days later. Now, if she'd have stuck with Spike, we could have watched it the same night you guys do in the States. And that, again, is another problem. Who's going to watch Monday Night Raw on a Tuesday afternoon? Nobody.
Hey, Rick, if I want to tell you something for the fans, so especially for the fanboys, I don't want them to think that we're putting down TNA wrestling. We're looking at a different aspect. We're looking at the broader picture, not the wrestling. The wrestling of TNA is good. We're talking about management decisions,
production,
and all those things. Don't be one-dimensional in it of just looking at the wrestling. You know, like me and Rick were going over looking at a commentary that an individual posted up on the website. He wrote down a one-sided article, his opinion of TNA is not going to die for these reasons. He totally did not even hit the production, the missing pay, and every other little issue and trouble that the company does. All he focused was on the wrestling. And he didn't care if the wrestlers got paid or not. He was focused on that. So I just want to let the fans know we're not judging TNA by its wrestling. We're judging by the company. Rick, just wanted to put that in.
And, you know, absolutely. And I think we've said that more than once, you know, how we are behind the wrestlers, at least the majority of the wrestlers. And even, you know, a lot of the TNA wrestlers that I used to love. I mean, like I said, I miss a lot of the classic TNA originals that are now not with the company. I mean, I haven't watched a lot of TNA recently, so I mean, to say that I like or dislike TNA for me would be ignorant. But the fact is I don't miss it because for the simple fact is that I haven't watched it in a couple of weeks. I mean, I tried watching it recently on a recent stream. I won't say where, but it seemed like it was the same stuff that I had watched on Spike, and it was like nothing changed. The same storyline was there. It was like the same groups that were together, and I'm like, really? I think the only difference was that Kurt Angle was the world champion.
Who won't be there for much longer, because I don't know if you've heard the Austin interview with Kurt Angle, but he asks him categorically, how long have you got wrestle, Kurt? And Kurt says, if I can stay how I am now, with not an heavy schedule, I have got 4 years tops. He's going to at least want to spend his last year in the WWE.
If the WWE wants him. And
I think they'll have him back in a heartbeat, personally.
Well, I've heard certain things that Triple H and him don't see eye to eye on very much.
Yeah, and if that's the case...
Do you know why they don't see eye to eye? And it's against Triple H. He's so far up himself, he bleeds. I didn't know this until I heard the Austin interview, but Kurt Angle signed a contract with the WWE when he'd had no... Forget Olympic wrestling or college wrestling, which is proper wrestling. He had never done any professional wrestling, and there's a difference, as he made a clear point. It's like football and soccer in your country. They're two entirely different games. He'd had no professional training at all in a wrestling ring when he signed with the WWE. He got in purely on the fact that he was an Olympic wrestler. He had to train on the job. And Triple H thinks, I've bust my gut, I've spent 15 years to get where I am now, and he's just come straight in. It's Triple H with a bee in his bonnet, because at the end of the day, if Kurt Angle has had no professional training from a professional wrestler, apart from what he's picked up and learned himself, I'm sorry, Triple H, you're a douchebag, because he's fucking better than you'll ever be.
And I think it was also just his personality, and he had the ring, he had the mic skills, and I think a lot of that really went a long way for him. So
he was just, as it come out, he said he learned from Austin, and he learned from all the other good talkers on the microphone. He listens, he videotapes all these matches, and he makes a big point of that's what Diamond Dallas Page used to do. Set a video camera up at ringside and video his own matches and critique his own matches. You don't see somebody like Dolph Ziggler doing that, because they obviously think they're good enough. Kurt Angle, when he was good enough, didn't think he was good enough and strived to get better.
He's a professionalist.
Yeah.
Excuse me, a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know what? I think we're going to wrap it up here, but before we do that, I want to get everybody's final thoughts. James, what's your final thoughts on TNA? And
it's a sinking ship. We just don't know when the hell it's going to sink to the very end.
Will, over to you. And Lance, over to you. Final thoughts?
Oh, it's like a patient. Could it be terminal? We don't know that yet. Well, it looks terminal, but could there be things to help pull it up? Quite possibly. But at this point, the doctor is a complete fucking moron.
All right, Andy, over to you.
I would class it as the Titanic looking for an iceberg to hit.
Joe, over to you.
You know, we've said it so many times that I'm not going to repeat myself on it, but they need to replace the company heads. Once they do that and leave the wrestlers to wrestle and do what they have to do, TNA will be a better company. Right now, it's like the Hindenburg, it's like the Titanic, it's just waiting, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, you know, the question was, from the beginning of the show, is TNA another WCW? And, you know, the sad thing is, it's always the big companies who have a shitload of money who just can't seem to get it right, and you have all the indie companies with all the passion and drive just can't seem to get to where, you know, the bigger companies are. And the question is why? Why is that? And we want to know what your thoughts are. Please put your comments in the comment section below. And please follow us over at Facebook.com, and also subscribe to us at YouTube.com/HWR Show. Andy, where can one find you at?
You can find me at www.stokehaunted.com.
And, of course, we have the classic wrestling manager, Joseph Knight. Joe, what do you got going on? Where can everybody find you?
Oh, fans can find me on Facebook at facebook.com, Joseph Knight Manager, or they can follow the CWA at classicwrestlingassociation.com or facebook.com/Classic Wrestling Association. Right now, we're just getting a couple of things in order. We had a couple of setbacks, but we're going to be working on a couple of new things.
All right. And then we have James from the Big Easy. James, what do you got going on?
Work, really. That's why I haven't been doing my stuff. Find me on twitch.tv/fatboy504. I do PS4 gameplay. I am on YouTube.com/JTD70129. I do random shit. And I'm also on Twitter at FatBoy504.
He's back. Is your HWR partner back?
Yes.
Yes, as I was popping squats thinking about what would Andy say to Dixie Carter on the date.
I don't think he'd do much talking, but that's for another show for another time. Will, what do you got going on? Where can everybody find you?
Right, you already know what to find me on. SoundCloud.com/HWR Show. You'll find me doing In the News. You can find everything. And this upcoming one's going to be a good one, so stay tuned, folks. You're going to love it.
All right, and last and certainly not least, we have the incomparable Lance Moss, and you can always find him over at YouTube.com/LanceMossTV. Lance, what do you got going on?
I got album reviews, NASCAR discussion videos, redneck Gorman videos, musical equipment reviews, some rants, and the archives of controversies and scandals. Also, check me out on Twitter. It's at LanceMossTV.
All right, guys. Well, until then, this is your hardcore host, Rickhead, saying we'll see you when we see you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of In the Moment. Make sure you follow us at any one of our locations, whether it's YouTube, Dailymotion, and now SoundCloud.com under the name HWR Show. Until the next time, this is your hardcore host, Rickhead, saying we'll see you when we see you.